me on a Thursday evening with our guest, Steve Clayton of the Sheffield and District Junior Sunday Football League, which is the biggest in Europe of its kind and possibly the biggest in the world. And we have our celebrated former FIFA referee from Sheffield, Keith Hackett, about his new book, well, say new, one of a series, the iconic You Are the Ref strips with Paul Trevelyan. So more weird and wonderful scenarios to come. Also more on the Respect initiative, and we'll be talking about Sean Dyche's stand and why not more managers are supporting something that everybody in the game agrees with against simulation and diving. James Gregg joins me at the end, towards the end of what is a sad week for both of us and everybody here at Sheffield Line.
Absolutely. I think it's a difficult one to iterate to the viewers, you know, because obviously you're sat where, you know, you're just sat and enjoying, if that's the right word, watching myself and Alan. Whereas you don't see that what we're doing here is barely anything. And Phil was a massive part of, you know, putting out this programme, and the amount of people who'd come up to myself and Alan over the last 4 years and have sort of talked about watching the programme and all that kind of stuff. You know, the one man that they've never seen is Phil, and you know, Phil was, you know, fantastic in putting this, you know, the programme on every week. It was his pride and joy, I think that reflected in the sort of the quality of you know, the broadcast, certainly from his side of things as well. So absolutely, you know, devastating, but you know, we're only thinking of him the whole time we're doing this, aren't we?
We are tonight, and we will do for some time. We won't forget.
Certainly, yeah.
And before the end of the show, another special tribute that will go out to it with a tribute to Phil tonight as well. Where were we? Before the break, on behalf of your Sunday League, we were talking about the Respect initiative that you have and the fact that you award teams marks for respect. Yep. What's the criteria then for that?
Well, at the end of each game, managers of each club get to mark the other manager, the players and the parents. But the last couple of years we've had an even better initiative. Well, that's part of it, but referees also get the opportunity to mark both managers, both sets of players and both sets of parents. And that is quite an interesting scenario.
The parents' marks interest me the most, actually.
I think one of the nice things is that, again, the vast majority of parents are okay. They get carried away. We don't mind a little bit of passion. There's nothing wrong with passion. It's when they go over the top. And what they don't realise sometimes is that some of the things they're shouting at minors, and so therefore the connotation. So one of the things I've always found with the sim bin is quite useful, because I've often found myself running along the line by the parents, which is behind our initiative of the respect barrier, which we asked all teams to have a respect barrier, so the parents stand one side of the pitch, the managers stand the other. And I'd be running past the parents saying, yeah, if you repeat that again, and one of them repeats it, they get 8 minutes off this game. I'm not sure you want to repeat that again. Yeah. They usually have one more bite at me, but then they leave me alone. And what's even better, they leave the kids alone, the young people alone.
Do you think women are worse than men? And I don't mean this in a very sexist way, but when I used to watch with Mrs. Biggs, the more volatile member of the married couple was Mrs. Biggs. When we used to watch. Right, no,
You're in trouble here, Alan.
I know she doesn't.
You're digging a hole here, mate.
She doesn't watch the show. I can assure you, she doesn't watch the show. She didn't cross the line, but she was certainly more volatile than me.
Generally, no. Generally, with the parents, it's the dads.
Right.
If there are, the only thing I would say, if the ladies start, they do it properly. But it's not as often. No. And again, the vast majority of games.
Carry on on that line, mate. Yeah. Fascinating. That.
Yeah. Oh well, you know the ladies in any sport, you know, they are fabulous. You know, it's great that they come and support the sons, but of course they get very passionate. There's that motherly instinct, isn't it? Yeah. But luckily, no. Most of the people that I see at the side of a football pitch just want to watch a game of football and want to watch the light of their life do well.
And what we don't want to see is anybody aping top players when it comes to cheating.
It's not. It really isn't, and it's a big bugbear that, and we're seeing it more and more often. Keith will have you know, far stronger views and far more sort of experience of seeing it happen. But for me, it's a huge problem. Keith, what on earth can be done? Because since it's come in, what, 20 years ago, and we started seeing it, it seems to me it just got worse and worse and worse and worse.
I think there's no doubt the players have got better at diving. Let's make it clear. I know in laws we talk about simulation, but it's diving, and it's cheating.
Yeah.
Now, the Scottish FA went out on a limb. An ex-player at the time running the Scottish FA said, we don't want this in our competitions, therefore, retrospectively, we're going to punish. There was a view that it wouldn't get that through FIFA, but in fact, they fought that hard, they did. Now, last year or the year before, the English FA, sounds as though I'm having a go at them again, but I am, because they said quite clearly, looking at the games at the elite level, where there's acts of simulation, and sometimes it's difficult for the referee. Let's make no mistake about it, the players are that good, the referee doesn't always spot it. So therefore, the view was, let's go and issue retrospective punishment. Let's look at the video. If we see that he's dived, then we're going to punish that player through suspension. Well, where are they?
Yes, exactly.
I see the diving. I see it almost every weekend. So the difficulty for the referee, I also accept. Sometimes they're not in a good position to judge.
No.
Then I worry about why isn't the assistant referee coming in? And speaking to an absolute top-level assistant referee, I'm amazed that they've now got an instruction that almost says, don't flag for these types of things, use the communication kits. Well, let me tell you, I brought the communication kits in, and that was an absolute no-no. It was about improving communication, but we always said the flag is your first line to indicate to the referee. So they've stopped doing that. So in a way, we've got the assistant referee who might well be saying to the referee, that's a dive, and he's ignoring it because he doesn't want the hassle.
Talking of ignoring, why is there this deafening silence to the comments from the Burnley manager, Sean Dyche, to which I think everybody involved in football agrees that the game has got to stamp out this cheating? He's the only voice out there from within the game.
Well, he's an honest manager. I think we've always seen him talk honestly about the game, what he likes, what he doesn't like. I've been in meetings where he's said he'll do it and his players respond. And yeah, he's amazingly a lone soul. I mean, I stood up many years ago and said to the Premier League managers, all sat around a table, and I said, right, gentlemen, I'm going to tell you this. There's one area of refereeing that we're going to get wrong. I assure you we're going to get wrong. And he looked at me and I've gone, and it's diving, it's simulation. I put some clips on. I can remember to this day Harry Redknapp almost getting to his feet saying, I know that player. I used to manage him. He used to dive in training and have an argument with me. So the managers know when it's a dive. And the game's, the image of the game is tarnished.
If it's your player, it's like, I'll look the other way and I'll accept it because we've got a penalty out of that. That's the problem, isn't it? And fans will accept it of their player, almost quietly applaud it. That's the, I don't know, what's the word? The double standard, isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, you know, you've almost got referees.
Hypocrisy.
Well,
if you like.
well, you've got referees who are erring on the side of safety. When you give a penalty, you're effectively giving a goal more often than not.
Yeah.
And therefore, they want to be absolutely certain, and they're caught in a dilemma. Sometimes the speed and pace of the game doesn't put them in the right viewing angle because we know that's where the errors are made.
It's a hell of a judgment to make because of what you're actually saying. You're saying that you're a cheat when you show that yellow card.
Correct.
And you're loading even more responsibility onto the referee if you increase that to a red, which a lot of us would like. You'd like to see a red card sanction, but that's fearful responsibility, isn't it? Do you not think?
I'm quite clear. You know that I'm the biggest supporter of VAR. I'm the biggest supporter of technology.
Yeah.
So I know at the top level of the game, we're miles behind again. You know, the English Premier League, the best league in the world, are no longer the best league in the world because they're not operating VAR. And VAR is brought in to help the referee. And that referee, you know, in my day, 3 cameras, Alan. The modern referee's got 22, sometimes even more. So he's exposed. The decision that he's making honestly
that is one area where VAR for sure could have an immediate impact,
Correct.
isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, sometimes a quick replay, it's a penalty kick or it's not a penalty kick, review it. But ultimately, it's a dive, punish him.
Is it a problem in your junior league?
Not really, because as a rule of thumb out there, what you do get is if a player thinks he's been fouled and the referee doesn't, they do seem to try and then emulate their the heroes on telly. I mean, junior, I think it was an under
rolling
nine.
around and
Well, in under nines in the middle of summer in a tournament, I'm walking. Funny for that was at Wickersley, and I'm walking up past. I wasn't refereeing this game; it was my game off. And this player thought he'd been fouled. He'd not been fouled. The other guy got the ball, and he sits on the floor for the next 5 minutes, looking at the referee, going,
yeah.
And I just went,
I hope the referee ignored him.
oh, he did. And as I walked past, I just said to him, you've been watching too much Match of the Day, son. Get up.
That's a great comment. That's a great comment. Okay, there's loads more. We'll come back to these guys. There's lots more to talk about, but there's lots more to talk about outside of football as well.
Well, there is, but we will start with football because it's that annoying sort of international break thing that, you know, a lot of people go, oh, no, particularly Sheffield United fans, because Blades are top of the league. And then the Wednesday had a good result as well, didn't they?
Yeah,
to get into the playoffs. So going into the international break, I think luckily it's quite a happy city in terms of how both teams are looking. But we'll start with the international break. So international break, non-league day is this Saturday, and it's a great opportunity to go and watch domestic football being played up and down the country. So Sheffield Wednesday, their next match is again until next Friday against Middlesbrough, which is a big game. But locally, plenty of games for both Wednesday nights and United nights to enjoy. So the world's second oldest football team at the oldest football ground in the world, Helm FC. They've got Charnock Richard at Sandygate and Sheffield FC. They actually don't have a game this weekend, which is a little bit frustrating considering they're the world's oldest football club. But Alan, you went to watch them on Tuesday against Worksop. Non-league football, you love it, don't you?
I love it, yeah. It was the Sheffield and Hampshire Cup. They lost to Worksop. It was a bit of a shock result. Worksop being a league below them. Worksop deserved to win, 3-1. An absolute refereeing howler, I've got to say, in that game. Good job I don't know the name of the referee, isn't it? I mean, although Worksop deserved to win,
Unlike you.
at 3-1, Sheffield were putting a lot of pressure on. They might have even been 2-1 when they were putting pressure on, and the guy was just taken out, bearing down on goal in the area. Nothing given whatsoever. Anyway, apart from that, it was a very, very enjoyable evening.
It is an enjoyable experience, though, to go and watch non-league football. So elsewhere, in the local area, teams we don't usually mention here on the Roundup, so forgive me for that. Swallownest FC, they're at home to Garstang. Kiverton Park have got Rossington main reserves. Staveley Miners Welfare, they've got Silsden. Penistone Church, your team, second in the league as well, aren't they?
Fabulous. I mean, it's a friendly club, and you can get a pint quite competitive prices and a pie. And no, it's generally a good day out. There's no question it's a good day out. And I see some very good refereeing.
Oh, that's good, isn't it?
Which you don't always see in league football.
Correct.
Yeah, he's dead serious when he says that as well.
That's on my list, by the way.
Well, Penistone, they've got Eccleshill this weekend. Worksop, they've got Maltby Main. And the Young Owls goalkeeper, Dan Wallace, he's going to be in action for Frickley Athletic against Skelmersdale as well this weekend. So a non-league day, it celebrates all the volunteering commitments, sort of amateur football, raw football, if you like. And you can go to nonleagueday.com. If you're not from the Sheffield area and you're watching it from afar elsewhere in the country, Google on there and it just nonleagueday.com. You can type in your postcode, it comes up with all the games taking place on Saturday near you. Or if you're a Chesterfield fan, you could go up to watch them at Halifax, because they're in non-league, aren't they now? So I forgot about that.
Yeah, they are.
He's not happy.
That's a sore point. You know, when these non-league days have come around,
I'm sorry.
I've suddenly had this realisation in the middle of the night that means spy rights as well.
Did you wake up in a cold sweat?
Yes.
Think,
how can that be possible? That you're talking about Chesterfield in a non-league.
Alan, I'm sorry, but if you are a spy right, Halifax is the place to go and watch your team this weekend in non-league day. I'll move on before Alan clips me. First foray for Tony Barrasso as the Steelers head coach this weekend is the newly appointed head coach called Paul Thompson was relieved of duties or mutual parting of ways, whatever it was a couple of weeks ago. Well, Saturday evening is their only fixture of the weekend. It's a bit of a baptism of fire because they've got the Nottingham Panthers away from home. Is he the right man, though? Well, it looks like it, because I've looked at his credentials and he's won 2 Stanley Cups as a player, which is pretty much the biggest trophy in ice hockey in the world that you can win. And he also leaves from Italy, where he won the title last year with Asiago. I think I've said that right.
I'm not going to correct you.
Anyway, they had over 30 applicants for the job, did the Steelers. So, well, if he's come out on top, he must be pretty good at what he does. So
obviously, he ignored yours.
Yeah, I know. What a shame. Never mind.
No, I heard him on the radio today, and he sounds very much to the point. No BS whatsoever.
Yeah.
A question, a short, pointed answer, saying what he means. No waffle.
Good.
And I think this fella probably, says what he means and means what he says.
Strikes me that's what the Steelers are sort of after. It'd be great if we did get him in here in a future week as well. When he settled in, because bless him, he only landed from Italy last week. So so we'll try and get him in here at some point. Sheffield Sharks in basketball, they've got against the BBL All-Stars in a bit of a sort of exhibition game down at the Copper Box Arena in London. They've been doing reasonably well of late too. And we'll finish with a bit of golf. Matt Fitzpatrick in action at Walton Heath. It's the British Masters. Of course, he won that a couple of years ago. It was his first European Tour victory, and he shot 3 under par today, just outside the top 10.
Yeah, and sad note as also to finish on, which we talked about earlier, the sudden death this week. It's been a wretched week of a guy that was a friend of this show, that twice been a guest on it, John Gilburn, the managing director of Overton Stadium. Lovely fella, full of initiative, full of drive, and sadly died at the age of 65 this week. I saw a comment from Dave Allen, the boss of A&S Leisure, which runs Overton Stadium, saying that John would just be impossible to replace. So commiserations, condolences and thoughts with all members of John's family, his colleagues and friends. Very sad news as well.
Very sad news, all the best.
Where were we in terms of the book, Keith? We had so many different scenarios that have you got a favourite sort of oddball refereeing conundrum in this book?
Well, I think when you're writing them, Alan, they're somewhat challenging.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have a wish list that you've got everyone right.
Do you find that people contact you saying?
Oh yeah, I mean, some people will contact and say, no, you've got that one wrong, and in reality, you then go back and check. Yeah. And sometimes, again, I reiterate, well, no, because again, there's a bit of an opinion, isn't there? This fine line. This fine line between careless, reckless, and reckless excessive force. Yeah. I can remember in the last book, we did a scenario, and I argued with Paul Trevelyan because someone had been out celebrating, turned up to play in a game, had forgotten his kit, and had come in a monkey outfit. And the question is, do you allow him to play or not? And you go, well, he's a standout.
What do we say?
And I'd say, look, he's come to a game, let him play, and put up with it. Right. But you've got to take the head bit off, because I need to recognise and probably talk to him. Yeah. And we thought that'll never happen. And I almost argued, fairly vociferously, that I wanted that out of the book. Yeah. And then 3 or 4 weeks later, after the book had been published, the other one, Paul rang me and said, here, look at this newspaper clip. Yeah. And it was a guy who turned up in a monkey outfit to play.
Aping, literally aping.
So the referee had a problem.
The book.
The referee had a problem, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's go back. Steve, sorry?
Did you let him play?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. Going back to Steve Clayton and Sheffield District Junior Sunday Football League, your appearance has stimulated quite a lot of tweets today. Mostly favourable, people appreciating the respect initiatives.
Nobody's going to please everybody, are they?
Of course not.
And let's be realistic, governing bodies, leagues, FAs, county FAs are always going to be in the firing line. It's never actually as it seems. And I'm sure even what Keith said tonight, behind closed doors, it's not quite as it seems. There's a decision-making process behind everything. And we've got people trying to do the best on it.
Can I just read out a couple? I mean, Hillsborough Pumas under-10s. We at Hillsborough Pumas are working tirelessly to encourage and support our young referees. May I say, the team of young refs we have are an absolute pleasure to have on on board.
Absolutely.
Donna Wainwright sent me a tweet saying, in response to the Respect initiative and educating young players, I will believe it when I see it, she says. My son has been abused, and I take it her son's a referee, has been abused by parents, managers, offered out by a player, reduced to tears by a mother, and waited for in the car park by a player and his dad. That's all in the space of one season. Your website replied, did you report it to the Sheffield and Hampshire FA? The league itself cannot deal with misconduct. The league itself tries to educate. That's what you try and do. She says, yes, I did report it. I don't know what the results were for the teams involved, but Mentor spoke to my son. He is now selective on the teams that he referees, so he hasn't
fair comment.
Come out of it altogether. But you do lose referees, don't you? I've only got a minute left.
No, we do, and I'll do it very quickly. But one of the things that we need to get across to young referees or anybody, any young person in the sport, there is support there. First of all, the league want to support young referees. You mentioned Hillsborough Pumas, a very good female referee, got some abuse from a parent, and you know what? We've put the support behind that young lady. She's now refereeing at good levels, and she's getting support from the County Football Association, from the league, and an important bit is get them to join the Referees Association, whichever part they're in, because there's a lot of mentoring and a lot of support from the Referees Association. And just one last thing on that, the twice I've had really bad games, the County FA have rung me up the day after and said, are you okay? So it is there.
Good. Steve Clayton, thanks so much for coming in. Keith Hackett, as ever,
Pleasure.
Brilliant to see you. Good luck with the book.
Thank you.
James, thank you so much. But we'll end where we started tonight, paying tribute to our friend and colleague Phil Baldwin, who so sadly passed away last weekend. The very last football chat I had with Phil was about his beloved Liverpool. So Phil, this is for you. God bless.